This episode of the Rocker Skating Podcast is brought to you by Waterfield Bags. Waterfield has been handcrafting bags and cases in San Francisco since 1998. Every piece is designed, cut, and sewn in Waterfield's own workshop, where founder Gary and his team obsess over materials, stitching, and long term durability. I myself have trusted their gear for years, and they go wherever I go. You can find their thoughtfully designed gear for work, travel, and fitness at sfbags.com.
Hey, I'm Jason Brown, and you're listening to the Rocker Skating Podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Rocker Skating Podcast. It's a special episode because it's the holidays and Michelle and I are, taking a little bit of time off. And by a little bit of time, I mean like a couple of days because Chinese Nationals is coming up in a day and, we'll be following that. But I have a very special surprise interview for you. I got a chance to catch up with Jason Brown a couple of weeks ago, and incidentally, it was his birthday. So props to Jason for, you'll hear. He was basically like, I'm not even celebrating my birthday this year because there's the Olympics that I'm having to deal with. So as always, he is a fantastic interview. Got to get to understand his last 4 years and did a little trip down memory lane, and hope you enjoy the interview.
Well, we got Jason Brown here on the podcast today, and it is Jason Brown's birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you. What a way to spend it.
We were just talking about this before we came on, and Jason, you were like, I'm not even thinking about my birthday right now.
Not even slightly.
What's going on?
No, not even slightly. I was like, I got one goal in mind. I am working towards it day by day. My blinders are on. Birthday? What birthday? No, not this year.
You've already accomplished your goal of getting on the Rocker Skating Podcast, so, that's all good.
Exactly. It's starting my 31st year off like this. Come on. I've made it.
Okay, that's too flattering. Okay, Jason, Nationals is coming up. We're recording this in the middle of December 15th, and Nationals is coming up. It will be, and I have looked at this many times, your 14th senior championships.
No way.
And it will be, this is your 13th international senior season.
That's crazy.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. I don't even know how that's possible. Oh my gosh.
What's the last 4 years been like? I mean, I feel like there were a lot of us who saw 2022 and we were like, well, this is Jason's last year, right? Like this is his last season. And then you were like, I'm not done, guys. I'm not done yet. And it feels like it's been like every single season has been like, let's see if we can make another one. Let's see if we can make another one. I want to hear from you, like, what has the last 4 seasons been like?
Yeah, I have to be honest. I was definitely on the train with you all being like 2022. That's the end. That's the last stop. And I think it was this combination. It was the Olympics for my last event of that season, the 2022 Olympics. And then we got to go on tour. And because we were in the middle of COVID, tour was the first time we got to perform in front of audiences again and have that experience. And I don't think I realized how much I had missed it. Of course, obviously I love performing in front of crowds, but in a lot of ways, I got really used to just the COVID atmosphere that we were in. We were bubbled up, and it was just it was so methodical and it was so regimented. And I don't know, I hate saying it became the new norm, but in a lot of ways it did. And so then when we did get to perform in front of audiences again, I was like, wow, I really missed this and missed that component so much. And so I remember really thinking I was going to be done still, but I had talked to Tracy and my coach, and we were talking about how much I love performing and doing that. And I actually got asked to do Japan Open, which was an event where you just do a free program. And I was asked to do it as the pro skater. So as the skater that's retired. or not competing that season. And so I had already passed on doing the Grand Prix. I was I'm not doing it. And I remember the 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 organizers of that event were like, you can just do an old free program. I was like, I'm not doing an old free program. I can't just do, the programs that ended at the Olympics. Like I wanted to do something new. So anyways, it started that way. And so I trained and I competed at Japan Open and I was like,
Yeah.
looked at Tracy and I was like, oh, like this is fun. This is great to do. And she looked at me and she goes, is there any part of you that wants to continue? And I was like, I don't know. And she was just like, from her experience, she was like, I know how hard it is to take a kind of a whole gap year off and then come back. So she's like, if there's any part of you that thinks maybe, let's go for it for the year and see how it is. And still, she goes, I still want you to do all your commitments with whether it was, I was doing media stuff that year. I was doing a bunch of different shows. And I had lots more lined up. And so she goes, I want you to do all that and explore all that. And, let's see what,
Right.
maybe show up at nationals. Just have another experience that wasn't COVID, I guess, in a lot of ways. Did that, ended up second, was
Yeah.
assigned to the world team. We were like, okay, sure. And then I ended up fifth at Worlds. And I had done all these shows, and in so many ways, I felt so inspired by these different opportunities in the sport and doing things in such a different way. And so at the end of that year, she kind of looked at me and was like, that was exciting. That was neat. That was different. And at the same time, completely honest, I thought that was it. I was like, how many times can you do half a season?
We
Yeah.
all thought that was it. I mean, I still remember being at Worlds watching. It was Impossible Dream that year,
Yes.
right? Yeah, I was watching Impossible Dream, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be the last time I see Jason
Yes.
skate." And then it wasn't, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so good."
No, my God. I appreciate it. But yeah, so really was like, and then I was like, well, that was it. What a way to end the season. We did World Team Trophy. It was so fun. We won. It was like a great, kind of ending to the year. And I even remember I was there with Alexa and Brandon, and I knew that they were, have they officially retired?
I don't think they ever
Officially or not,
retired.
I knew that they
yeah.
weren't going to compete the next year. And so
Right.
we were both I was even talking to Alexa about oh my God, we're both going to be moving back to Chicago and just what the next steps were going to be. And simultaneously, I had a call, the same thing at the end of the year, US Figure Skating, you sit down with, the high performance team and they say, what are your plans? Talk about Grand Prix, da-da-da. And I said, no Grand Prix. I'm not going to do it. And they're like, do you want to do another partial season? And I remember looking at Tracy and looking at the high performance team and I'm like, is that an option? Is that actually something that I could do a second year?
You're doing the Michelle Kwan.
Do you know what's so crazy is that's what they brought up. And I was like, no. You cannot for 1 second put me on the same sentence as Michelle Kwan, not a single possible way. But what they were kind of referring to is the fact that you have been in this sport for so long. You've done
Right.
year after year. You've proven yourself time and time again. This is an option because of what you've done. It isn't something that we just be like, yeah, we'll support you if you do half a season. But because of your, as you just mentioned, that list of insane amount of years that I've been doing it, they were like, yes, if you want, you can do another year like that. And I just remember looking at Tracy and I was like, okay, if I can keep doing all the shows and keep kind of pushing myself professionally in these different ways and have those outlets and be able to compete and kind of keep that competitive edge still going and seeing if it's, even I just felt like the competitions helped me enjoy the show so much more because I was so trained when I did the shows. And then the constant performing gave me what only getting to compete a few times throughout the year, it gave me that constant opportunity to get out in front of crowds, perform, and practice in a different way. Anyways, it ended up kind of same result, got second at nationals, fifth at worlds. And then it came to like this moment where you look out into
2
the
more
future,
years.
you're suddenly at 2 more years, and
Yeah.
you're like, and it was like I had never done a home worlds. So like feeling like I didn't even give myself that opportunity to try to make a world team at home and have that, like, I was like, oh, like I feel like I'll regret not at least trying. And then obviously you make it that far, you're like, well, now, like, if I walk away at this point, then I'm really gonna regret, regardless of what happens. And
Yeah.
regardless of the outcome, making it that far and walking away, being like, I didn't even give it a shot. I just like felt like, oh, yeah, that those were two things where suddenly it became, oh my gosh, 2 years, I can digest this, and I can also look back
Yeah.
regardless of what happens and feel like I have no regrets, knowing that at least I
Right.
saw it through.
I still remember seeing you at Skate America in Norwood, Massachusetts in 2022.
Yes, in 2022.
And you and I talked, and I was like, hey, Japan Open, that looked really good. And you were like, just you wait. And I was like, I'm going to have to keep this secret for
Oh my
months.
gosh.
And so I kept being like, okay, well, I can't say anything. But, I kept just being like, oh,
Oh my god.
Jason and his Japan Open. And then you came back. So it was all
That's
good.
so funny. Yeah, I
Um,
remember being at Skate America, and that was the week that I had to either accept the bye to nationals because it's based on our previous season. And so they were like, Are you gonna go? Like,
Are you doing it?
are you accepting the bye? Are you not?" And I do remember we accepted it. And so, yes, when we were talking, I was like, oh my gosh.
Just you wait.
Just you wait.
So okay, so all of these years of competition and practice and shows and all of that, what have you found to be the most difficult thing about sort of growing up and maturing in the skating world? And then what have you found to be the easiest thing, and that
Oh my
surprisingly
god.
so?
I think the most difficult part, and I know this sounds a bit probably redundant or obvious, is just the fact that like your body is the instrument, is the tool, is like
Mhm.
you're putting your body out on the line. And when I mean that, it's not only like physically you're out in front of people and like you're doing it, but it's like every day in training you're pushing your body. Every day, like there's a constant stress of, am I fueling properly? Am I recovering correctly? Am I doing enough workouts? Am I pushing, like, what's my limit? Did I push too far? Did I push enough? Am I And I think like that frustration too of like even when you're dealing with the mental side of expectations and pressure, it all goes back to like, why can't my body do this? Or what am I
Right.
doing wrong? And I think that constant kind of back and forth, that internal struggle, um, and frustration. And of course, as in any sport, you're always looking around you and what other people are doing. And you're like, how can they do whatever they're doing? And like, whatever it might be, whether it's like, I feel like I'm working twice as hard, or I feel like, I'm even more careful about what I'm eating or how I'm fueling, or, I'm working with everybody I could possibly work with to, whether it's master a jump or get into a certain position on my spin. And yet it's not good enough, or it's not where you want it to be, or you're not progressing the way that other people around you are, or people are saying you should be. And so I think like that is probably the most difficult part, is growing up and really, I don't want to call it saying like you're learning the fact that like A plus B does not equal C, but like there's that realization of like, wait, I can put in 100 hours, 1,000 hours, 3,000 hours, and yes, I'll continue to improve, but like how much, or what will that look like, or compared to who? And I think that like those constant questions and kind of having those kind of demons going through your brain, like not being able to always, like, I think people don't realize how, I mean, now as an athlete all these years later, like I have so much respect for what everybody does, because everyone has such a different journey of what they're going through and a process. And but I think growing up and realizing that there is not one path to achieving a certain goal or making a team or doing that,
Yeah.
I don't, in a lot of ways was hard to wrap my brain around, I guess. And like,
Right.
yeah, and just feeling like you are failing because your body can't do something, or but yeah, and just being able to go into the rink every single day and be like, I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna keep learning. I'm gonna keep progressing the best that I can, and do that. But yeah, I think that was really hard as a kid growing up, just feeling like I was constantly falling short of what people were doing falling short of what people expected of me. But at the same time, I was trying so hard and I was doing everything in my, like what I felt in my power to accomplish something, and just feeling like it was still not good enough. And then like letting it become an attack on me, because obviously it's like,
Right.
I'm physically not doing it.
I mean, yet you've won 9 medals at the U.S. Championships. You've been top 10 in the world 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. If you count Worlds and the Olympics, I mean,
Well,
you know,
I appreciate that, but I think it's
naysayers,
thank you.
right?
Yeah, and I think I think too, as I gotten older, it's of course different. But we're so fixated on those top spots that you mentioned so many incredible accomplishments that I think for so long I didn't give myself the time of day to realize the value of those things, because it's
Right.
like when you're
To
in the top
appreciate it.
10 for 9 years or 10 years in a row, that's amazing.
It's
But
a
when
thing. Yeah.
you're in a you're in a place and you're in a sport where it's like, what's valued is might be just the top 3, or you're around people that, I always think it's, that medalist mentality where you'll go somewhere and someone will be like, "Oh, how'd you do?" And you're like, "Oh, I ended up 6th." Or, "Oh, I got like 4th." And they're like, and you feel almost not saying guilty, but like I know it wasn't good enough. I did that in quotes. I realize I'm not on video for everyone watching, but like that feeling of like you're falling short because people value those top 3 as like, oh, that event was a success if you brought home a medal. And so
Right.
there's just so many other ways to define that success. And yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at 2014 Olympics, and you are literally the only one who is still skating out of this group.
Yes.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something? I
Yes.
mean, you're the first time you were top 10 in the world, Yevgeny Plushenko was still skating. Like, it's just the longevity that you've had, right? We've talked about longevity in this sport so much more over the past 2 Olympic cycles, with skaters, one, being able to continue to do the things that they can do, but 2, I think people are appreciating being able to be around longer more than they used to, and it has a lot to do with both the training and the just the general mentality of you just being like, well, this is my 4th Olympic cycle and I can do it, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think, I know we mentioned Michelle Kwan earlier, but like, she's someone that I just like everybody looked up to her. But like, I remember I was fortunate enough to get to, when I say train with her one summer, she was training in Lake Arrowhead, California, and I too was there that summer training in Lake Arrowhead, California. We were not on the same session. I was not nearly not training with her, but training at the same facility. And I remember I'd watch all of her sessions, and you just speak to, and it was longevity. It was staring at longevity, someone who had this staying power in the sport, who has been in it for so long and was continuing to push herself and continuing to just do such incredible things. And I think growing up, the people that I looked up to at least felt like they had these long careers and they were constantly in the skating scene. And whether that was because there was a professional, side of skating as well that was also televised. And so like it felt like their careers were longer, even if they weren't in the amateur field. And obviously that doesn't exist anymore. But I just I don't know. I just remember growing up and seeing that possibility of people with such long careers. And it's not as common as it once was.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it speaks to how much you love the sport, how much you love competing, skating, all of that stuff. Also speaks to how much everybody loves seeing you,
Thank
right?
you.
And so, there's a whole fandom out there who says, this is my favorite Jason program. This is my favorite Jason program. What is Jason's favorite Jason program?
Too hard. I do want to just
more than one is fine.
I do want to just, because you briefly talked for a moment about the fans, I just want to take a brief moment to just thank them. There have been so many times throughout my career that I have felt or questioned whether there was a space for me in the sport, or whether the sport was moving away from me and I couldn't catch up, or whether I had a right to continue competing. I think there was all these questions in it. And the fact that the fans have stayed by me and have supported me and have been so vocal in saying that my skating matters to them. And I don't even mean, when I say my skating, I don't mean specifically mine, but the type of skating that I bring to the sport. And that they fight for me and they fight for that spot. And I don't take that lightly. And it means so much to me. And a huge reason of why I'm still even able to do that is because of the fans, and the fact that the fans have, even just their support at events, the officials see that. The ISU sees that. They see the impact. And it doesn't go unnoticed. And it's changing our sport. And it has changed my life. And I just want to thank everyone so much for that.
I can't wait to have this conversation with you in a few months when the ISU changes
the
rules.
Well, we'll see what happens. That said, we can, like we said, blinders up. We're focused on in the moment.
Blinders, yes.
I just want to take a moment because you mentioned the fans, and I just really wanted to say that all to you guys. And I truly cannot thank you enough. That said, when it comes to my favorite programs, honestly, it's I feel like it's what it would feel like to pick my favorite child if I had kids. So hard.
I mean, these are your kids. These are totally your kids.
I would have to say, of course, Riverdance holds a super, super special place in my heart. Love is a Bitch. I love that program, and it came from a really I was in a really kind of a negative, dark place, and it was very therapeutic. And I loved that. And it kind of
that was totally fierce Jason that we hadn't seen
and it
before.
There was an anger and a passive aggressive side of myself that I didn't even know existed, that I unleashed, and I loved that. So I would say Love is a Bitch. Sinner Man, so special. Schindler's List, so special to me. I have to say, I've done these two. I did Scent of Love, and I did Spiegel on Spiegel. I know that these two kind of pure piano pieces from start to finish were really special to do. And I just remember talking to Roheen, because Roheen Ward, my choreographer of 20 plus years, who I've just been so fortunate to work with. What's been so cool is seeing the evolution of what we can do. And I think when he brought me those pieces and was like, I want you to do these piano pieces, and there wasn't a lot of variation, but he was like, you are strong enough and mature enough, and your skating is developed enough to carry these pieces and to kind of, in a lot of ways, enhance them through your skating. And I think that was something that it was a really cool kind of undertaking to do. And I loved that process as well. Kind of going from like, I don't know, to like, wow. Like
Mm-hmm.
I loved that challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, so I Scent of Love is one of my favorites of yours because of the sort of quietness of it, and you really
Yeah.
just I still remember at what was it, Milan Worlds, right? No,
Yes.
Helsinki Worlds.
Yes.
When you were skating it and you did your step sequence, and like there was like this instant applause during this very quiet moment in the program, and I'm like, that's
Oh,
impact.
no, it was very cool. And I think it also just showed me like what not only my skating, but also what simplicity could look like, and
Hmm.
and how it could impact an audience, and also resonate with people. I think too, when I was growing up, we put so many transitions in my program. Like I like would go like off the walls when it came to transitions, and I could whip things off when I was really little. And then it was really neat to kind of see Roheen start to then pull back in certain areas and draw out and really focus on the lines and the fluidity, and um, kind of we reworked my skating in so many different ways and reinvented myself so many different times. It was really, really, really special. But yeah, those are some of my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Riverdance in
Yes.
2014 and now Riverdance in 2026. If 2026 Riverdance Jason had something to say to 2014 Riverdance Jason, what would it be?
Can you believe we're doing this again? That's honestly never in a million years did I think that I would ever revisit this program, and do it. That said, it's so crazy. You're talking about first we're talking about a 12 years.
12 years. Your career as a
First,
proper
yes, no,
teenager.
there I'm this year I was at competing at a senior B, and someone came up, one of the other competitors came up to me, who like I really truly look at as a peer, because obviously we're in the same event, we're competing against each other, came up to me and they're like, I had to go when you were skating to Riverdance, I had to like walk out. Like I knew I was competing, but like I had to walk out into the audience and like watch it because that was my childhood. And I was like, you're just being nice. Like, ha ha ha. And then I like did the math and I was like, oh, you were 6. I was like, oh, you were a child. Like, it like, I was like, oh, you were truly a
Truly a
child. Like,
child.
like, think for me, it's like, I remember when I was, 6 to 10 and the seniors and watching them compete at the Olympics, or like, I so clearly remember watching the 2006 Olympics. And like, and suddenly I'm like, wait, okay, like you're not lying. Also, this is crazy. Also, like,
Yeah.
how is that a thing? And so, and I think something also that's totally separate, totally different note, but I've been very fortunate to do Shizuka Arakawa's show in Japan each summer. And in honor of the next year will mark her 20th year of doing this show. And so
Mm-hmm.
she,
Mm-hmm.
in the show, in the final show of this last year, to kind of tease next year's, the 20th anniversary, she performed Nessun Dorma. It was,
Wow.
and it was just like,
Yeah.
wait, it transported me back to this moment. And I just was like, the whole cast, obviously the audience watching, we were all just like, oh my gosh. And the memories. And so like, I don't know, there was something so special about revisiting it all these years later, and like, and kind of doing it in a way. Oh, sorry, now back to Riverdance. Like revisiting Riverdance all these years later. and doing it in a way that was different, but also showed my growth. Um, and I've been excited. It's definitely been a process, and we keep kind of figuring out. Um, it keeps evolving as the year has gone on, but really, really loving
Hmm.
it, and it's just been such a fun kind of celebration, throwback thing to celebrate with the
Well,
audience.
exactly. Speaking of things that you're giving back to the fans too, as much as you're giving back to yourself and your career, right? You know how much that program has meant to the skating community, and
I just well, I can't
you
like I
know,
mentioned earlier,
it's amazing.
I owe you guys so much. I owe the fans so much, and I'm so unbelievably grateful. And so if this is the least I could do to say thank you for all their years of support.
I do have an inside
Okay.
baseball question on this one. When you did Riverdance in Boston last year for
Yes.
the exhibition, was it already like I'm doing this for my short program, or was
No.
it
No. If it makes you
okay?
it was definitely something that planted the seed. Like, I think it was something that, like,
Yeah.
because I did a shortened version of it, like, we had never considered it as, like, a short. Like, and I knew love that program, and I'm like, I'm not saying I'm not fit or in shape or good. It was never gonna be a long again. Like, that was out of the question, and, like, hey, I'm healthy, I am fit, like, I really want I'm not, like, blaming it on my age. It's just, like, it was never gonna be a long again, and so I think we really didn't even consider it as a short, and to be completely honest, I didn't even decide to, like, potentially do it at the exhibition at Worlds until, like, a week before. So it was, like, a week before
Mm.
Worlds, I was like, "Okay, I will put this edit together and, like, we will potentially do it." And I remember just, like, one night before I left for Boston Worlds, I, like, practiced it with Tracy of, like, "Here's the patterns, here's the things," but I don't know, there's a part of me that, like, I don't wanna jinx it, I don't wanna, like I don't know. I don't know. I just felt
Yeah.
weird to plan it, but at the same time, knowing that it was a home worlds, there was obviously a big chance of me doing the exhibition and
And
Boston. So, like,
Boston
I
and
also knew, like,
Boston.
okay, regardless how I do, like, but at the same time, you just don't know. You don't know, and I didn't wanna, like, screw anything up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had fun practicing with Tracy, and Tracy had a really fun, like, working on it with me. So I think maybe Tracy had a little bit of like, ooh, like I want him to explore this next year. But yeah, and yeah, so it
Well,
could have
thank you,
been like she
Tracy.
may have, but no, for me it was just like I was doing it for Boston, but I think it kind of maybe uh there was that moment where it was like, huh, we could do this in a condensed way, or it could be like looked at as a short. And later on at the end of the show season or the spring season, Tracy said, I know you're gonna choreograph other short programs, but can you also throw in the possibility of doing Riverdance? So I actually this summer we
Mm.
choreographed 3 short programs. So I won't tell you what they were because obviously in the end of the day, Riverdance was the one that was chosen, but that's how much it really wasn't. And it really was like a back and forth, like not really knowing because it's one of those things too. It's like if you're gonna go down this road, you can't go down the road. Like there are other times where it's like you can
Right.
put out a program and be like, nah, we're gonna like yeah go in a different direction mid-season. This is not exactly one of I mean you
Yeah.
could. Hey, it's always freedom to choose what
You
you
can do
want,
whatever,
always.
right?
But
But
there was a part of me that like knew like I couldn't be like, I'm doing it, psych, I'm not doing it. Like
there would be a
I couldn't do that. I
riot, like
couldn't do that.
literal.
So
That's amazing. Well, as much as I would love to continue talking to you, I know, like I have already
never.
taken
Oh
too
my
much of your time.
gosh.
Um, but you're going to not celebrate your non-birthday right now. Probably going to
You
go to
know it.
bed soon,
Yes.
my guess. Yep, yep. But thank you for joining me, and best of luck. Obviously, happy holidays to whatever holidays you're
Thank
going to be
you.
celebrating
Likewise.
this.
Likewise. No.
That is not in the rink. Um, but we will see each other bright and early in January
I
in St.
can't wait. I
Louis.
can't wait to see you in 2026.
Ooh,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Well, so that was Jason Brown. I hope you really enjoyed that interview. I did. I mean, we could have talked for another couple hours, I think. I mean, I feel like every time I talk to him, he just has so much that he's thought about, and he's such an introspective guy. But there's more. Go take a look at my YouTube channel at youtube.com/@rockerskating. And we have published the next rewatch episode, which is the series where I take skaters through their own programs and have them commentate on them themselves. So, Jason, of course, I asked him to do the Riverdance program for this season. And so you get a chance to listen to how he thought about the entire program and the things that he finds really interesting about it. So go take a look at that, and I hope you enjoy it. So this was the very special Christmas episode of the Rocker Skating Podcast. This is Jackie Wong, Chief Skate Nerd at rockerskating.com. Thanks, as always, to John Wilson Blades for their sponsorship, and this week to Waterfield Bags for their sponsorship as well. And of course, thank you to Tara Nichols for being the greatest editor on Christmas Eve, trying to get all this stuff together. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.